Catherine with Northern Yards and Gardens here.
I have this really nice property in town. It's kind of a sleepy little neighborhood. I would like to put in some landscaping back here along our deck. Right here by the steps is kind of just a slight slope, which is okay. But as we move along here on the back of the deck, there gets to be this really steep hill and it's difficult to mow. We are going to get ready to put in a terraced garden.
Hey everyone, Amanda here with Northern Yards and Gardens, and today I'm in Fergus Falls, Minnesota in my sister's backyard, and what we're working on is a terraced garden. This used to be a very steep slope in her backyard that was difficult to mow, and it was a lot of weeds, not very nice lawn. So instead of having the lawn there, we took that out, and her husband very nicely built this raised bed for us out of landscape timbers. And now we're working on planting with some perennials that are sun-loving. Most of this yard is very shady because there's a lot of mature trees overhead. So this is the one part of the yard where we really have a lot of sun. So we can play around with some sun-loving plants. The rest of the yard is going to have to be planted with shade-loving plants. So one thing we did here today to keep the cost down on building this garden is that we used as many transplanted plants as possible. So we raided Mom's yard and we raided our aunt's yard to get as many sun-loving plants as we could, so that we only spent about $10 on plants at a nursery, and the rest of these are all transplant. So I'm going to show you now what plants we're using, and they don't look so happy because we did just rip these out of the ground earlier today. We're going to get them planted this evening and they're going to be just fine. This plant right here that's not looking so happy is a Johnson's blue geranium. This is going to be a nice mound of foliage with a blue flower on it. I have it here in the corners to kind of anchor this area. This is a salvia. They have a nice purple upright flower. We have that kind of centered. This pile of roots is a Russian sage, which gets really large, but I'm going to use it in this corner to anchor. We have the stairs behind us here, so I'm hoping to fill in and just cover up some of the lattice work in the back. This, along with the next two plants to the side, is a sunflower, and so it's going to, and it's a summer nights heliopsis. So it's going to have some nice kind of orangey with almost a maroon eye to it, and it's going to get rather large. I do have it placed so that it's actually just slightly under the deck, and so it's going to be interesting to see. It might grow up actually a little too large for that place, but we'll find out. In front of that is a yarrow, and we think that's a pink blooming one, but since it's not in bloom right now, we're not sure. This tub is prairie smoke or geum. We're going to use these since they're so short. We're going to put a line of these along the front of the bed. This pile here is just Russian sedum. We're going to spread this out in the front corner next to the step. In the back here, before the deck kind of jets out a little bit, we have golden glow rudbeckia. These also get really large, almost 6 feet tall, so we're probably gonna have to plant those a little bit forward of where they're actually sitting, so when they grow up, they will grow in front of the deck. A few repeats to this side, a yarrow, some more sedum here. This poor plant is a peony, and we have a second one of these to the right, so they're going to kind of fill in and bush out right here in the center of this longer part of the bed. This is an agastache or an anise hyssop. That's going to grow up about 3 feet tall, so that'll help cover some of that lattice work behind here. This is a daisy. It is going to spread a lot. We might have to keep this one under control to make sure it doesn't go too crazy and just take over the whole bed. In the center, we have a couple daylilies. We're going to spread those out. This will be kind of a daylily patch right in the center of this part of the bed. And behind that is a phlox. This is more the old-fashioned, just purple phlox. We're going to let that fill in and cover the lattice behind. This is one of the few plants that we actually bought today, and that is a catmint, a Walker's Low catmint, and they're just one of my favorites for the spring blooms. Walker's Low does get 2 to 3 feet high and wide, so we're leaving plenty of space for that, with some more phlox behind it and another peony off to the side. We're going to finish the bed with a purple dome aster. That's going to be about 3 feet tall to anchor this corner. Some more sedum to the front, and one more thing we have here. This is a really sad bachelor's button, perennial bachelor's button or centuria, and we're going to break this clump into a few pieces and disperse it throughout. And finally, this tub right here is filled with lamb's ear, so we're going to break these clumps up and kind of spread them throughout the bed also to kind of give just a nice silvery texture throughout the entire bed. So even though this looks like a really large bed, it's about 27 feet long. We have several plants in here. Right now they're kind of spaced out, but within about 2 years this bed is going to be extremely full of plants, and it's going to be really filled in and look very nice. So it's just going to be a little bit of patience to get these plants up and growing, but when we're done, this is going to be a gorgeous garden. So behind me now is our finished garden. So what we did is we filled in these landscape timbers with nice black dirt. After that, we planted our perennials as I had showed you how we had them placed. And we finished off our planting by adding mulch, which we received free from the landfill where they recycle any trees that are brought in. So we were able to mulch this garden without any cost to us. One thing that we did though to help in the future with our weeding is that we made sure to sprinkle the preen, which is a pre-emergent herbicide. This will kill any weed seeds that are in the dirt from growing, and so it'll just stop that next generation of weeds from coming up in this garden. So with the preen and the mulch also to help keep the weeds down, we shouldn't have too much work maintaining this garden in the future. The last thing we did after all of that is we soaked down all of these plants really well with the garden hose to make sure that the roots all received water. You saw how sad they were after being transplanted, so that little bit of water is just going to really perk them up. In a couple days they'll be nice and healthy, and this will look like a really nice garden. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and check us out at northernyardsandgardens.com. Make sure if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Thanks everyone.